Hey guys, I'm going to do a brief video from the product rule so that if you missed it, you can figure it out. So the product rule is suspiciously used when you have the product, which by this point in your math career, you should know means multiplied by each other. So you use what's called the product rule. When you get to when you get to calc, there's going to be a product rule, power rule, quotient rule, little rules for like how to find the derivative without having to use that difference quotient with the x plus h in it. So if this is your function where it's something times something else, u is just representing the first part and v is representing the second, here is the formula. You take u as it appears in the original function times the derivative of that second part plus the derivative of the first part times the second part v as it appeared in the original function. So this is what we call the product rule. So you actually don't need to know these for this year, so JK on that. We're going to skip that just because I want it to be a manageable amount of stuff that we can finish before, and give you enough time to prep for finals. So we're going to skip those parts, and that only leaves us this one example. So I'll also show you one off of the beginning of your worksheet. In this example, this would be the u and this would be the v because I am looking for two things multiplied by one another. So just because it's on the other page and you can't see it, I'm going to write down my product rule again. So according to that, I'm supposed to, in order to find my derivative, remember that prime means derivative, I'm supposed to take the original function, which is 2x to the fifth, so that's the original first function, and multiply it by the derivative of the second part. So it's the derivative of the 3x plus 2. Keeping in mind from Friday that this is going to be that power rule. X is to the first power, that multiplies by the leading coefficient, and then it decreases by 1. So since there was a power of 1, now there's a power of none, and the x is gone. Now I'm at the plus. Then I'm supposed to take the derivative of u. So the derivative of this, using the power rule, is going to be 5 times that 2 in front, so that becomes a 10, and then the power decreases by 1. And then that gets multiplied by v as it appeared in the original problem, so 3x plus 2, keeping in mind that v is simply the second part. So that's the only part that's actually calc. Now you have to do some algebra, which is going to be like maybe distributing, multiplying, combining. So this is all algebra 1. You're supposed to know that 3 times 2x to the fifth would be 6x to the fifth. Because this has two terms separated by adding, I actually need to distribute this and multiply the 10x to the fourth by each. 10 times 3 is still 30. X to the 4 times x to the 1 gives me x to the 5. And then 10x to the fourth times 2 is going to be 20x to the fourth. These are alike. So when I go to write my final derivative, I'm going to have 36x to the fifths plus 20x to the fourths. Now the rest of these involve the cosine and the e and all the stuff that we're skipping for right now. So let's take a look at the first problem off of your worksheet and go through that together. I obviously did it in class yesterday too, so it's here. Okay, so using my formula of if I started with u dot v for the function, the derivative will be u v prime plus u prime v. So in this problem, here's my u, here's my v. So y prime is going to be the first thing times the derivative of this. So I'm dropping that power, 12x, reduce the power by 1. And like we talked about Friday, constants don't factor into or appear in the derivative. So that's that. Then plus, if I look at my formula, I am at this spot. So I need the derivative of this first part. So there's a negative 1 there. Dropping the 3, I get negative 3x reduce the power by 1 times v, which is this, and this part of the formula says just plain v, which means as it appeared in the original problem. So that's my product rule, and now I'm just going to do the algebra. These will multiply to be negative 12x to the sixth, and again, because this has two terms, I need to distribute. A 3 and a negative 3 make negative 9x to the sixth because of the 2 and the 4. And then here the negatives cancel to become 6x to the second. So my derivative is going to be negative 21x to the sixth because these two are alike and can combine, and then plus 6x squared. So that, my friends, is what we did. And then the answer key is online for this as well. Hopefully that helps. Stop skipping my class.